Welcome to a special edition of That Blind Tech Show. Today's hosts, Brian Fischler and Jeff Thompson. Serina Gilbert could not make it to this show due to goat training obligations. And a big shout out to Marlon Piriajo for some comic relief along with Jeff. They do a great thing. Hey, that's me. Yeah. And we got a couple demos coming up here. One sent in by request from Janelle from Trinidad. Thank you, Janelle. One, dealing with how location services interacts with your apps. Is it on all the time? Is it on some of the time? Or is it never on? The other is dealing with privacy and advertisement. How to limit it a little bit. We also touch base on searching for headings and links using your VO, U, and I keys on the Mac. We also bring you some news and articles from around the world dealing with accessibility and stuff of interest. Thanks for being here, and we hope we enjoy.
Oh no sir, we don't collect cash here. It will literally cost you an arm and a leg.
All the awesomeness that is iOS 13, the ins, the outs, the great...
The goodness.
The goodness, the greatness, the unbelievableness.
When I do a single finger double tap, it doesn't necessarily turn it off. It opens up a new page, a new menu, new list of opportunity. Let's go. Single finger double tap.
Location services on.
But he did it to a blind musician. I mean, I'm talking about picking on musicians, right?
Oh, have you always been blind? You know, your typical questions. Then it's like, they always seem, do you live alone? And I'm thinking, well, why? Looking to hook up or something? I mean, it's just weird. What speed do you listen to voiceover on your iPhone at? What percentage?
Right about 65.
Okay, I'm at 70. Where's the thought process behind this? You're a college professor, for crying out loud. Use that head for something other than a place to put a hat, as my dad used to like to say.
Someone that just had their dog ripped away from them and say, go, blind yourself with science.
Wait. Brian, and just to show that there are no hard feelings, a very early happy birthday to you. I bought you some hair.
I think the blindness, this is not for release, but I think...
Excuse me. As editor, I'm going to have to invoke my executive editor's privilege that our listeners deserve the right to the transparency of this podcast.
Our listeners deserve the right to hear the audio.
Release the audio, please, sir.
I just want to hear the audio.
Get us a peanut. So be it. Release the audio.
But I think the blindness community has gone too far that gift cards have to have Braille on them.
They're starting that?
Oh, yeah, it started in like November, dude. Yeah.
So we can feel illiterate twice.
The 4% of the blind population that actually reads Braille could... who knew that Braille readers were such big gift card buyers?
I know.
And who knew that Braille readers were such poor gift givers that they're giving gift cards? Come on, Braille readers. Buy somebody a real gift. You don't give somebody cash.
Our cash is not labeled, you know what I mean? We don't have markers on our cash.
We had a major setback here as New York became the third state to outlaw businesses that refuse to receive cash. That's a blind utopian society. No more cash.
Outlaw businesses that refuse to receive cash.
No, I'm explaining that wrong. They set a law that if you're a business in New York State, you must accept cash because there was a push for certain businesses where they don't want to deal with cash anymore. They just want to deal with, the barter system. I come in, I have a meal, I give you a goose and you give me food. The barter system. No, they want it all to be digital.
E-tender.
E-tender, I like that. E-tender.
Yeah, that's how I like my goose too.
Your goose tender. I was going to say, you go in, they don't accept cash. The blindness community might have to pay for their meal with their guide dogs when they leave,
Well, what if it's half a guide dog?
Oh, I don't know if you want to put that out there.
Are they going to round everything up to a full guide dog?
How many guide dogs will this meal cost?
Yeah.
Yes sir, that's one happy meal. It will cost you an arm and a leg. What? So much money? Oh no sir, we don't collect cash here. It will literally cost you an arm and a leg.
I guess there is, I think it was Pennsylvania and some other weird state. I don't remember. All the states are weird that aren't New York.
Well, of course, that's what I've heard.
We have so much normalcy here.
Coming from the Midwest, we look east and go, mm-hmm.
Hey. I believe the great state of New York is the state where a citizen of that state gave us the great expression, cat kettle black.
Go west, young millennials. Go west, millennials.
You just don't follow. What was the hiking crew that got lost in the mountains and they still haven't found them? Like in the 1800s?
Lewis and Clark?
No. They found stuff.
The Orville brothers?
No. The hole where they had to eat each other.
Do you think the last one of that group licked their fingers and burped and said, and then there was one?
But here's the good thing about him being the one. He didn't have to use cash to pay for his meal.
That's right. And this is That Blind Tech Show, right?
It is. And this is a special edition of That Blind Tech Show because we're going to spend this entire show just diving into all the awesomeness that is iOS 13, the ins, the outs, the greatness, the greatness, the unbelievableness,
the phenomenal iOS 13 since its release, all the candy,
the orgamistic. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
a little rusty on the orgasms there, Brian.
The orgasmic, that was the word I was looking for. The orgasmic parts of iOS 13. People are really going to want to sit somewhere comfortable as we dive into, and that's why Serina couldn't be here for this episode, because she just brings too much of a negative vibe, and we want this all to be positive about iOS 13.
Oh, iOS 13, all this good stuff. Well, let's just kick it out. Ready?
Let's go. And that was all the positive vibe from iOS 13.
I know it's an overload for all you folks to take in all at once, so that's why we just kind of smoothed it out a little bit for you.
Jeff wanted to release it as a standalone episode, but I, the prankster of That Blind Tech Show, thought people could get annoyed if they sit down to listen to a 30-second episode. They're like, wait, that's it? 45 seconds. Okay, 45. We did have a long intro.
I got good crickets.
You did get good crickets, and I'm a little long-winded in the intro, so that's why it went 45 seconds. This is That Blind Tech Show, a special edition of That Blind Tech Show, because I'm here only with one person, one person, Mr. Jeff Thompson.
Looks around the studio, studies it intensely, and then realizes, wait, I'm blind. It's me.
It's you?
Yes, it's me.
Who can it be now?
Men at Work, because Serina's not here.
That's true. Men at Work. Was that Men at Work? Who can it be now?
Well, who else could it be now?
That's a band that I've actually heard of.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Serina's not here to witness this moment.
Exactly. Finally, a band or musician that I've actually heard of that's not named Bon Jovi. By the way, guess what I just discovered earlier this week, Jeff Thompson?
Your special purpose?
You and I have had that conversation off air several times. Bon Jovi with Bryan Adams, tickets now on sale, Madison Square Garden. And actually, I invited our special guest on this show to attend the show, but he's a busy man and could not confirm whether or not the dates would work for him yet. But I have a second friend, though. Serina doesn't think I do, so I've got some feelers out there. The problem is, I guess they're playing Madison Square Garden, but I'm the only Bon Jovi fan in New York, so it's hard to find somebody to go with.
I don't think you'll have a problem, especially with Bryan Adams coming in there. It's good stuff.
It is. Summer of '69. What was that song from Robin Hood, The Prince of Thieves?
Let's go way back. Cuts Like a Knife.
No, that's not Cuts Like a Knife.
Bryan Adams, Cuts Like a Knife. First album.
Everything I do for you, Jeff Thompson.
Yeah.
That doesn't make this weird, does it?
When I edit this, Brian, it won't be weird because I cut like a knife. Oh. Bryan Adams.
Yeah, and you've been cutting like a knife since, the summer of '69? Can I tell an adult I guess it would be PG-13. Can I tell a PG-13 story to the listeners?
Well, Brian, go right ahead.
In the 1990s, when I lived in Los Angeles, I was a little socially irresponsible at times when it came to the alcohol. And I spent a New Year's Eve with a bunch of buddies on the Vegas Strip. And the next morning, my buddies were like, hey, what do you think of Bryan Adams? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, Bryan Adams was playing the Vegas Strip last night. I had no memory of it. So, question to you, Jeff Thompson. Should I go see Bon Jovi with Bryan Adams opening for him? Will it be the first time I see Bryan Adams perform live?
It's all in how you tell the story, Brian.
That's true. That's true. No blind jokes were harmed in making this story. But
and what we say on this podcast is the absolute truth. But
Exactly.
as we've stated before, don't quote us or use us for your school papers.
Exactly. Especially if you're a high school, middle school student, I would not quote that blind tech show. Well, we know certain entities out there that don't like to quote their sources. You know, we would like you not to quote us. We're actually asking you not to, like certain entities out there that don't give credit to where they get their content from. But we don't want to be blamed. We're doing it for different purposes. We don't want to be blamed.
You know, talking about blame and you're talking about musicians and stuff, did you hear about the musician that got an Uber to go home and she's blind? And the Uber driver took her phone and said he had to close out the ride because it was broken on his end, and he gave himself a 5-star and charged her 20 pounds tip.
Yeah, I did hear about that, but because I recently had my own Uber issue, but that's more horrific than the issue I had. I mean, and I did read that it went to that British court system over there, and I hope they were wearing those wigs, you know, the wigs. I still crack up anytime, you know, the described video, and you could put in your described video of how silly those little wigs they wear in the British courts over there. You know, we just go in bald or what our hair. But yeah, what are your thoughts about this driver?
She said that they talked about her blindness on the way. She thought it was none of his business, but she decided she's in his car and just being polite. So when he did that, she didn't realize it happened. Then she found out about it, but he denied it. But it went to court and he was found guilty of fraud. And this is a guy with 2 kids and stuff like that. Now Uber has kicked him off the acceptable drivers.
Hey, Jeff, hold on. Are you saying that if you have 2 kids, it makes you a nice person?
Well, no, it's just the fact that the guy is providing for a family and he would do something like that to someone. So I'm glad they caught him.
How do you explain yourself to kids if you do something like that?
Why? Because not that he would do it to an average person, but he did it to a blind musician. I mean, I'm talking about picking on musicians, right?
Yeah, well, musicians, they're, a step below the rest of us. But this brings up an interesting point because it does happen to me a lot, and I first want to hear your take. Do you get asked by cab drivers or Uber a lot about what caused you to go blind or details on your life? And if so, do you share it with them, or do you fake like you can't hear them and say,
Yeah. Huh? I keep my AirPods in because I'm an ambassador for the Apple AirPod Pro Club. But when I do get asked, if I do get asked like that, it all depends on my mood. If it's, who the person is, it's a roulette wheel sometimes, but 90% of the time, I don't get asked that by them. It's cool,
I don't know why I get asked it so much, and it's weird because normally it's, have you always been blind? Your typical questions. Then it's like they always seem, do you live alone? And I'm thinking, why? You looking to hook up or something? I mean, it's just weird. They're just always so amazed that I live alone.
So, are you totally blind or partially blind? Have you been blind all your life? Do you live nearby? You got any guard dogs, alarm or security systems? You have any padlocks? Do you live alone? I'm just asking because I'm curious. It's not like I'm a serial killer or anything.
They're amazed, I guess, that I'm able to do things and, be independent and everything. And yeah, it's just a weird question, that they always follow up with. You live alone? It's like, what do you think? I have somebody come in and tie my shoes every day or something? Yeah, it's just
no.
With
the Uber, I get in the vehicle and I use it as time for me to finish some business. If I got to check an email, check something out, read something, because it's my time. If it's going to take me 15, 20 minutes, that's my time. Sometimes I start in with the niceties and start chatting and stuff and just, carry on some conversations if it's interesting. But other times I get in and I quickly put on the earbuds and I move on, into my time.
Jeff, I hate to correct you, but to quote Jeff Spicoli about 2020, if you're in the Uber and the driver's in the Uber, isn't it our time?
No,
still
it's
not
my
our
time because he's not paying me for my conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay him for his. I'm paying for the ride. So
Yeah,
I like to use it. I was told that a long time ago about having someone drive you someplace if you have a driver of some sort or if you're on a bus or something that, like when I was in college, I used that for study time, cramming on the bus,
My favorite line about being driven is, why drive when one could be driven? That was always something I liked. And I as we discussed on the last show, I don't really use Uber because of the great service I have. But this past Sunday, I took my third Uber in a year, and let's just say 2 of the 3 Ubers have refused my guide dog service. And that's once in New York, once in Los Angeles. So
did you just jump in and say, sorry, Nash?
no, because Nash was in Florida. So
So West has been denied twice.
no, Wes has been denied once and Nash has been denied once. I've been denied twice. Yeah. Well, I guess I haven't been denied because they're saying you can get into the Uber, you just can't bring the dog into the Uber. I guess technically, does that mean I've been declined?
My money's on you. I think the over-under is looking pretty good here.
Oh, hi, I'm Penelope, your Uber driver. Yeah, just the dog, please. Not you. You can stay outside. Just the dog alone. Thank you.
Yeah. I did press the button and file that I was, turned down and everything, and they refunded my money. They sent another Uber, obviously, right away. And yeah, so I just recommend, when this does happen to you, and even if you get in the car and they're just, giving you a hard time, I just say, it's against the law to hassle me about my service dog.
I know, and I'm just so surprised because you know what just happened in the state right next to you, right?
New Jersey? The garbage state? They don't do anything good over there, do they?
They now have a state dog.
I know. Thanks to Morris Frank. Why don't you tell the listeners about that state dog?
Well, they have a state dog, and it's a guide dog, and it's Seeing Eye lobbied for it, and they got it, and I think it's a really great thing. And then looking up Seeing Eye, the information that they provided, and is his name Frank Morris or Morris Frank?
Morris Frank, I believe.
That was a neat article that I read about him because he's been an advocate for guide dogs from way back.
I didn't know that it all really started, I guess, in Switzerland. I think a Swiss Miss, Swiss cheese, but didn't really know they were known for guide dogs and everything. I mean, that's where he did his original training and everything. And the history was very fascinating to me. And he actually, started his first stuff in Tennessee, and then he moved to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And just a fascinating individual. Yeah. I love what he said when he inquired about if he could get training with a guide dog. And the woman said, "You'd come to Switzerland?" He said, "Ma'am, I'd go to hell to get my independence back." I thought that was a great line and everything. That was in the article.
Yeah, and then while he was in America, he traveled a lot and spoke a lot and advocated throughout the United States and Canada. And in 1929, he was denied service on a train. But by 1935, he had the rules changed that dogs were now allowed on passenger trains. And then he advocated for hotels. And by 1952 or 56, that all dogs were allowed in hotels.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think that. You think, oh, that just started in 1990 with the ADA, but those hotels allowing service dogs as well as trains.
Service dogs. I said all dogs, but service dogs.
Service dogs.
Not to be confused with
emotional support animals. It looks like the airlines, and it's fascinating to me that the airlines get to really make up their own laws because the ADA does not apply to airlines. I did not know that, but they don't have to follow the rules of the ADA. Yeah, the airlines, I think it's the Air Carrier Act, supersedes the ADA, so they don't have to bow down to the ADA laws, which is fascinating to me. They're decided, we've had enough with the emotional support animals, not emotional support dogs, but I guess they're really clamping down in any animal because I guess a dog is an animal, but not all animals are dogs. Hey, you see, a little of that college logic is still sticking with me, Jeff.
Yeah, that's awesome logic there, Brian. See, you can learn something on That Blind Tech Show. Just pay attention.
Just don't quote it. You can quote us on Twitter, just not in your term papers.
What's really confusing me is I could guess, but I'm not going to go out on a limb on this one, but what state is going to have the first state emotional support animal?
I'm thinking California. They're pretty liberal out there. It's got to be. It's definitely not anybody in the deep south and everything. Yeah, I could see California having an emotional support animal, but I guess it wouldn't be their state dog, Jeff. It would be their state animal. You see, I do listen, kind of.
The state emo.
Emo. Ooh. Please don't tell me states are going to start adopting state emojis and memojis. No.
Minnesota, I don't think would ever do that. Anyways, that was in the paper about the emotional support animals that they're not going to be allowed.
Jeff, what's a paper? Because I don't get a paper.
A newspaper?
Yeah. What are you talking? What's a newspaper?
Well, sit down, my young man. I'll tell you a story.
No, it's true that they're having a problem in the Minneapolis St. Paul paper today. You can send in your opinion to the allowance of emotional support animals.
You know who might be needing emotional support animals is YouTube monitors. People actually comb through all the footage submitted to YouTube. And did you hear this? That in December, YouTube monitor employees were being forced to sign a waiver that says their job may cause them to have post-traumatic stress disorder. So we feel for our YouTube monitor people. So I guess if you're a YouTube monitor, you may get the PTSD. You just might not be able to travel with your emotional support animal.
That was something to actually put that right in the fine print. Not only put it in the fine print, but I heard they used a big, bold frame around it so you wouldn't miss it.
And we don't want to make fun of anybody with any kind of disability, but can you imagine if you go to your PTSD group and there's a guy on your left, he's like, what caused your PTSD? Vietnam. Guy on your right, what caused your PTSD? I was in Iraq. What caused yours? I monitor YouTube videos. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't seem like it's at the same. I guess there are levels of PTSD, like anything else.
Well, I have PTSD because I fought in the war. I got PTSD because I watch YouTube. I have PTSD because I listen to that blind tech show. Ooh.
Welcome back to that blind tech show.
We don't want to knock it at all. It was just kind of shocking to see where it's come to, especially what are the sighted people submitting into YouTube that it has to be filtered like that.
I mean, maybe we're lucky, being blind, we don't have to see all the traumatic imagery that's out in the world today. I mean, it's just, maybe that's why in the future, like, what's the name of that show? See? Is it called See on Apple TV?
Yes.
Maybe that's why in the very far off future, all of society is blind because of these traumatic YouTube videos. I haven't seen the show. Spoiler alert, Jeff.
Jason Momoa. There you go.
Spoiler alert. Did the entire cast, ancestors, go blind from watching YouTube traumatic videos? Can you tell us if that's how the show starts?
No, that is not how they went blind.
Okay.
That's a fact.
I'm starting
and
rumors
that
here.
You can quote. No, you can quote that.
Okay, we can quote that and everything. But yeah.
Second season, it's up for a second. All of them got renewed for a second season, so that's
all
pretty good.
All three of their
them.
shows?
I believe there's 7, isn't there?
Jeff, have you turned off your location services when you get that pop-up that says always allow, only while using? What's your go-to choice, or never allow?
While using the app.
Yeah,
because when do you want the water on? When I'm taking a shower. Not all the time.
But what about something like Blind Square? I always say always allow. Or Google Maps, I always say always allow. Or am I doing it wrong there?
Well, I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, freedom of choice. You get to choose your own settings. I'm glad they give us those choices to only use while you're using the app, because location services, why does the Apple Store need to know where I am at all times of the day? I'm sure they're not going to say, oh, that's useless information. It's being funneled somewhere to someone. I don't know why it's going to be used, but they'll show my path and my history, my life. Hey, Janelle, it's demo time. First, let's take a look at location services. We'll go to settings on your home screen, do a single finger double tap.
Settings.
And then we'll swipe on down to privacy.
Privacy button.
And once again, single finger double tap.
Location services on button.
As you heard, location services is turned on my phone. So when I do a single finger double tap, it doesn't necessarily turn it off. It opens up a new page, a new menu, new list of opportunity. Let's go. Single finger double tap.
Location services on.
Single finger swipe to the right.
Location Services uses GPS, Bluetooth, and crowdsourced Wi-Fi hotspot and cell tower locations to determine your approximate location. Location Services settings also apply to your Apple Watch.
Single finger swipe to the right.
Share My Location button.
Single finger swipe to the right.
This iPhone is being used for location sharing.
Share My Location. This is for like Find My, or share your location with a friend. You may have family members where you can look up and find out where they are, when they'll arrive, that type of thing. Now below this, we have a list of the apps that are using location services, and it'll tell you exactly how they're using them too. So here we go. Now here we have Ira.
Ira requested your location in the past while using button.
As you notice, it's set for while using the app. That's the only time location services is being used, but we can change that. So let's single finger double tap.
Allow location access heading.
And we can go through these options just by single finger swiping left to right.
Never. Selected. Ask next time. While using the app. Always. App explanation. Select always allow so the Alexa app can always access your location to give you improved directions, local weather, location-based features, and device setup.
And here's a few others, and you can see how I have them set.
Amazon Alexa, ask button. iPhone Analytics, requested your location within the last 24 hours, off.
Now for analytics, it's a toggle on or off.
On, off.
Most of the apps, especially when you get into the App Store, you're usually prompted how you want location services to be used, whether you want it only when you're using the app, never, or always on. But the good thing is, you can always come back here and make the choice that you want. So in review, just go to Settings, down to Privacy, and then go into Location Services.
And Jeff, I know you can't see this because this is radio and not TV, and also we're both blind, but I'm rubbing my fingers together, my thumb and my index finger. You know what I'm doing?
No.
I'm playing the world's smallest violin for the people who are upset by this, the advertisers. Advertisers are crying all over the world because they're now having trouble tracking where we are to target their advertising to us. They're saying location service advertising is now dropped by 68% since iOS 13 and targeting.
Because you can turn that off.
Yeah.
And now here's where we can go to limit ad tracking. First, we'll start out on your home screen. Go to Settings.
Settings.
Single finger double tap.
Settings.
And we'll swipe down to Privacy.
Privacy button.
Single finger double tap.
Privacy.
And then all the way down to the bottom, and we can get there quickly by doing a 4-finger single tap near the bottom.
Advertising button.
Boom. Single finger double tap, and we're in.
Advertising.
Single finger swipe left to right.
All advertisers heading.
And we'll swipe on down to
limit ad tracking on.
And if it says off, you can turn this on. If it says on, you can turn it off. The choice is yours. Let's do a single finger swipe to the right.
Opt out of receiving ads targeted to your interests. Advertising in Apple apps heading. View ad information button. View the information used by Apple to deliver more relevant ads to you in Apple News and the App Store.
Now you can investigate these a little bit more, dig in a little deeper, but right at the bottom there's an advertising identifier. This I like to reset because if they've got you pegged for something, let's just reset it and start all over. So the choice is yours.
Reset advertising identifier button.
Just do a single finger double tap and then down below confirm.
Reset identifier.
Boom, boom. There you go.
Do I want to be walking past a Dwayne Reed and get an ad that pops up that says buy 2 cases of Diet Dr. Pepper for $4.99? Yeah, I do. Maybe that's why I leave my stuff on. I'm trying to think where this is hurting you or where this would be hurting the individual user. Do you see a downside to not getting targeted advertising directed to your phone?
I mean, you could argue it any way you want to do it, but I don't see any... I'm not saddened by the fact that I have mine off and I'm missing the opportunity to get mothballs for 49 cents at the local corner. You know, I just don't really care. Because if I need something, I'm going to go to it. I don't like to be influenced by the end cap of a store or by a sign that says, hey, strawberries are... I didn't go there for strawberries. You know what I mean? So go into the store, get what you want. How many times have you gone into a store in your past where you went in there to get stuff that should cost $40, you walk out with $89 bill?
Yeah, the funny thing about this is, so Google Maps will pop up. I'll click always allow. 2 days later, Google's been using your location 46 times in the background. Always allow. Now I'm getting so annoyed with the pop-ups. Only allow while using the app. So Apple is actually programming us by annoying us to click only while using the app and everything. I don't know if you've noticed that and everything. If you do click always allow, you'll keep getting that thing popping up every few days or once a week and everything. So I initially, for a lot of them, had clicked always allow because I'm like, oh, what's the big deal? But I've since changed that because I just got so annoyed. I just don't like pop-ups of any kind.
No, I don't either. One thing that I don't like, that now that we're talking about the phone, we already talked about all the goodness. Sorry to waste everybody's time on all the goodness of iOS 13. But right now, like when you hold the button to get Siri's attention, it starts reading the screen and then Siri thinks that's what you're saying and you're trying to say something and then you have to stop and get everything back in order again. That's annoying.
I'm going to sum up iOS 13 with 4 simple words, Jeff. Machine learning is crapola, because that's what it's going on. Is that machine learning? I don't think that was ready to be put in iOS. I think that's what's causing a lot of these issues and everything. This next story, Google changing their layout and design. And I'm kind of curious. I don't know how much time you spent reading this article, but I'm kind of curious from an accessibility issue. I haven't noticed if it does say to us when using VoiceOver, because it mentioned that your search results, now when doing a Google search, you get some results that are targeted advertising and you get some results that are the legitimate search results, and everything is color coded so the sighted user knows the difference between the ads and whatnot. I don't know. Does it tell us with VoiceOver that when you do a search result? I think it does tell us. It seems to me like the very top section is all the ads and you got to quickly next heading, then you get to the search results. And I always assumed what was under that were actual search results. Do you know if I am following that correctly?
Well, when I do mine, I go down and I notice the ads. Sometimes it says it's an ad, but then if you go down further, then you see search results and then web results,
Yeah, what's the difference between search results and web results?
Well, actually, search results is heading level 1 and web results is heading level 2. I got to go past the web one and then I start getting the real results from the search.
Yeah.
The ones that are not influenced by Google at all.
Yeah, maybe that search results section is ad targeting. Yeah, because the other day I searched for Bluetooth keyboard for multiple devices, and I had to go through 20 headings, which were all ads, just to then get to the search results. It's not like 2 or 3. It's like next heading, you keep clicking it. And
video.
Yeah, oh God, first it's ad, then video, YouTube video. Yeah. I am not a fan, and I don't really make great use of heading level 2, heading level 3, so that might be a quick way to get around it. Honestly, I don't know what's ad results and what's not ad results until I get to articles, and I'm like, okay, that's what I was looking for.
I always go right after the web results is where I start paying attention.
Yeah, well, and in the last 2 weeks in Catalina on the Mac, when you're navigating from heading to heading, say you'd get Blind Ability's website, it no longer says Blind Ability's website, it'll say URL www.blindabilities.368494.html. And this is something, I don't know if this is an Apple Catalina issue or if maybe the way Google has now had search results come up, but when navigating by heading, have you noticed that you no longer get the name of a website, but rather the URL?
I haven't noticed that in the stuff that I've been looking up. I usually do use headings, so
Well, here's my question to you. When you're navigating through your search results in Google, in Safari, are you making use of the web item rotor when you're doing that?
Now, what I do is I hit VOI, item chooser, or I hit the
VOU,
headings menu,
Yeah.
So I go to the headings, then I go down.
Yeah, that's still working. So, for example, in Catalina, right now in the current version, if you use the web item rotor and you go from heading to heading, you will get the name of the website. But if you're in the physical page, and I've got hotkeys, as we all know, I like my commanders. When I hit 05 on my numpad, it jumps me to next heading. We used to work perfectly fine. So instead of having to open the web item rotor, I would just hit 05. It no longer reads you the web page. It now reads you the URL. And I've checked if you move to the left, move to the right, thinking it was landing me in the wrong area. That's not the case. Now, I have, of course, reported this to Apple Accessibility. As of yesterday, I finally had time to call them, had a very lengthy phone call with them. They have mentioned they are aware of this issue, and they can't comment when. They can't comment if, but there may eventually, maybe before we all, live in the C world, have a fix for this and everything. So, yeah, I guess this really hasn't bothered you as much because you make so much use of the web item rotor when doing your Google search results.
Yeah, so you use, when you're talking about your rotor, you're talking about from your trackpad.
Yeah, there's several ways. I mean, that's the great thing. There's several ways to browse your search results. Obviously, the best way using headings. If you use the web item rotor with your VOU and you arrow down from heading to heading, you're still getting the correct names of the pages. I, as you all know, like to use keyboard commanders because it speeds up my productivity. So with my number pad, because I have a full keyboard with a numpad, I hit 05, which is just takes me from heading, and then 04 previous heading. By now, if you don't use your rotor and you navigate by headings, or if you use your trackpad and you flick down from one heading to the next heading, it reads the URL instead of the web page name and everything. And the advantage of using a keyboard commander is you don't have to interact with the page. By just hitting 05, I don't have to interact. It just automatically goes to the next heading. Where sometimes, as you know, Jeff, if you pull up that web item rotor, you get no headings because you haven't interacted with the page first. So that's why I created this keyboard shortcut command. And it worked perfectly fine. And it even worked in Catalina until the latest update with Catalina. So I do think they're having some pretty serious design issues with Safari. I don't know. This kind of started with when Google changed something. So I don't know for sure if it's a Google issue or an Apple issue. I do know that Apple Accessibility is aware of the issue. Whether or not they actually fix it, who the heck knows? Tim Cook doesn't even know.
The shadow knows.
Oh, yes. That was way before my time, but Serina, I get the reference because I am a pop culture juggernaut. I guess for the time being, Jeff, I'm going to be making a lot more use of that web item rotor, which is pretty fantastic because getting the URLs is, a little too verbose and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you do a good job. When you have problems with Catalina or the iPhone, you're on the line with Apple Accessibility and you get to work with them. You wait the time out and you work with them, do screenshots, and they move it up the line. So a lot of people are benefiting from the work and the time that you put into this. So thank you, Brian.
Jeff, no. Who are you kidding? I don't wait, dude. I've got a red phone that I pick up with a direct line to Apple Accessibility. I pick it up and the people at Apple Accessibility answer.
So you got like the bat phone?
I do. The bat phone, it's kind of like having a direct dial. I don't even have to dial. I just pick it up and Apple Accessibility's there. That's how much I complain. But, I'm an expert complainer.
So when your cleaners come to clean the apartment, do you tell them, don't touch that phone? Don't touch that phone.
Yeah, but I also tell them, don't touch the power cord to the mixer. And we see how good that works. But
yeah.
They pick it up and they're like, hello? And they hear Apple Accessibility and they have no clue what Apple Accessibility is.
Why do they pick up your mixer and say hello?
They're not too bright. They think that, by the way, I can't talk bad about them. They're great people now. So
there you go.
They do a lot of favors for me and everything. But
they could be listening.
Yeah. So, well, on this Safari issue, and I wonder if this is related, I'm not in Catalina because we're now talking about iOS 13. You see what we did there, Jeff? We moved really quickly. That's what we've been known to do. I've also noticed, because I've been searching for TV premiere schedule 2020 winter because I like to see the new shows. And that's about a 40-page list because there's a lot of shows, whether it's streaming or on cable. Well, I used to just do a 3-finger flick and I could jump down through everything I've already read and just touch the page and start reading from wherever I land with the 2-finger flick down. Can't do that anymore. Have you noticed this? You do a 3-finger flick up, you touch the page, you do a 2-finger swipe to start, and it starts reading from page 1, Jeff. They basically now in iOS 13 have ruined the 3-finger flick up to scroll down pages. Although you'll hear page 20 of 40. It will tell you that, but when you go to read it, you're still on page 1.
Yeah, especially if you swipe. And I've noticed that in a few other applications as well, because it's not a specific thing. It's like sometimes the focus follows your swipe, and where you touch, that's where it refocuses. Other times it stays right on that line, especially if you're trying to edit something too. That beware, you might be selecting something you didn't want. Lately, in 13, I believe, you really got to pay attention where the focus is.
Yeah, you can't move too fast, which is funny because that's our next story. Yeah, I've noticed it too, because I'm like you, pretty quick with doing things, and sometimes you do it too quick and you go to tap on an article you want to open, but VoiceOver has moved you, jumped you to the top, and you're on the back button and you go to look at it, and you're not on that. Another thing I've noticed in your Facebook notifications, you flick to the right once, you flick to your right twice, you've read those, you get to the next thing, all of a sudden it jumps back 3 or 4. So there's focus issues all over iOS 13 and everything, and they just don't seem to be getting better.
Or on the phone, when you're going through your mail, you might be 12 down and all of a sudden you're at the number 3 again. Yeah.
I've noticed that. Or on your back button to inbox and everything. I've gotten very cautious in mail since iOS 13. And do I really want to delete that? Slow it down. This next story that I believe you sent to me, I love this story. I mean, this is just how fast is too fast. The sighted world just recently discovered you don't have to listen to podcasts at normal playback speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just figured that out.
Yeah.
I listen at normal speed.
Really? You listen at normal? I listen at 2x, sometimes 2.5 if it's just a fantasy sports show and I want to get through it. I thought this article was hysterical because they thought it was the greatest thing ever, listening at like 1.75, and then they're like, I jumped up to 2x and 3x, and
they blew their mind, it said.
Yeah. It's like, wow, you never noticed what this speed function was for? And maybe it's people that are born blind that have been listening at faster speeds their entire life. Once you get to 3x, my mind starts getting blown. So have you ever listened to a book or at anything at 3x the normal speed?
No, I really don't listen to stuff at any faster speed than it should be because I like the art of voice, the audio and all that stuff, and, the timing of books, the way the author is and all that stuff. I enjoy it that way.
Is that why Serina calls you Slowpoke Thompson?
I think that's Marlon.
Oh, Marlon calls you that, or she calls Marlon that? The wizard.
No, he calls me that. He has lots of names for me.
He's a name caller. He's a nasty. You're a bad man, Marlon.
Wait. Brian, I am not a meanie and I am not a name caller. Jeff specifically told me that Serina lives on a mountain, and obviously the sensible thing is that she owns a goat. It makes a lot of sense. All persons who live on mountains own goats. Serina owns one, and that makes sense. That does not make me a name caller, okay? And just to show that there are no hard feelings, a very early happy birthday to you. I bought you some hair.
Bad man.
Yeah, on a tweet, I said, who's Blindy Blog? Like I didn't know her.
Yeah.
LOL or something like that. He says, I know you know her. She's the goat whisperer.
The goat whisperer?
Yeah, because she lives on a mountain, Denver, Denver area.
Oh, okay.
He thinks she raises a goat.
Really? Goats are cute. They make funny sounds.
All I know is Chucky's going to have a good goat stew one of these days.
That's Chuck with an IE at the end?
I don't know how he spells it.
I don't think too many Chuckies use an EY.
I thought his middle name started with an E. So I'm just,
Oh, you're just talking real fast.
George W. Yeah.
Getting back to the speed thing. What speed do you listen to voiceover on your iPhone at? What percentage?
Right about 65.
Okay, I'm at 70. But if I truly want to comprehend an article where, it's something important, I do take it down to 65. And I think it's really what you're comfortable at listening at.
Well, it depends on the voice you're listening to. I'm using Alex at 65.
Okay, I think I'm using Samantha right now because it gives me a connection to the females.
Yeah.
Well, let us know, what speed you're listening at or the fastest you've ever listened to something at. And do you remember anything about it at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com, or you can tweet us in at blindtechshow. Yeah, this was just fascinating that this article popped up right before we were getting ready to record.
It blew my mind. Honestly, I have listened to something at 3 times the speed just to see what it's like. It's like, okay.
Jeff, getting back to guide dogs, because I really do love mine, and I just did watch Animal House, and there's that great song in the movie Animal House where it starts off, don't know much about history, don't know much biology, and you then sent me this article.
Do you know who sings that?
Sam Cooke?
Yeah, let him.
Look at the big brain on Brian. I got one right, but you were insulting me. So I was trying to make a point here. You see people what I have to deal with?
You're going back to school, weren't you?
Well, that's another great movie, Back to School, but that's a different college movie. I'm talking about Animal House, Jeff. I thought Serina didn't get my pop culture references. Yeah, so how about this guide dog not taking your guide dog to biology class? That line is not in the song, by the way, people.
They actually separated her from the guide dog, and they put the guide dog in a room right next to a pail of animal parts that were to be dissected.
I thought we stopped separating people like in classrooms like 50 years ago. I did not know this was still going on in America, Jeff. This is a sad, sad state of separating humans and guide dogs. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Her mom got involved in it and was saying, it's been 30 years since the ADA. I don't want to get that number wrong. What is it? It's 30 years now, right?
90, actually, you were correct the first time, 30 years. So obviously Matt's not our strong suit. 1990.
Yeah.
30 years on the nose. Yeah. You see how long it took us to do the math?
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to be right. We want to be true. We want to be correct. If we're going to put it on the podcast.
Exactly. Because we know we have a 50-50 chance of getting it right, but only a 10% chance of that.
But this girl's in graduate school. It's not like she was just going to summer school, between high school or something like that. She was a graduate, going to graduate school and having this done. So they're suing the school. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's frivolous. I think it's...
No, I don't think it's frivolous either. I don't either. It's now there are a lot of frivolous lawsuits out there. This one is not one of them. It's just sad because considering how politically correct the environment is nowadays, the fact that we in the blindness community, and don't get me wrong, there's people in other communities that have to, would you separate somebody that was in a the wheelchair's got to stay in the other room. It's just, where's the thought process behind this? You're a college professor, for crying out loud. Use that head for something other than a place to put a hat, as my dad used to like to say.
Crutches at the door, please. Yeah. Crutches at the door.
They're taking up too much space and everything.
Yeah.
And
limp.
Yeah, limp. Limp your way over spider.
Hop, limp, crawl, stumble,
drag.
What's safer, someone that has a guide dog maneuvering around Bunsen burners and test tubes, or someone that just had their dog ripped away from them and say, go, blind yourself with science?
Maybe they wanted to make the biology lab an obstacle course, which,
That's what it would become,
Yeah, it's just baffling. It really is baffling. And, whether it's a cab driver, college professor, you got idiots in all walks of life, Jeff. I think that's one thing we learned on this podcast. So you're my favorite idiot. What do you got coming up here in the near future?
I got hockey. I'm playing hockey, so...
You still haven't
blind
played
hockey.
Yet?
Minnesota Wild... No, I have played. I'm still playing.
They haven't kicked you out of the league yet?
No.
What's the goon factor in that league?
Well, it's not really, you can't intentionally be a goon out there. You can't just actually go out. But I was reading an article about this one guy that he had to sit out the rest of the tournament because a collision, collided.
You realize you only have to say things once on this show.
I changed the words up, though.
You mixing it up?
My lexicon is growing since I started working on that blind check show, Brian.
Well, they say you take after the company that you surround yourself by.
Yeah.
And we will time code this episode so Serina knows we had to record this during the daytime because we've got hectic nightlife schedules and everything, and it was just time.
But we got a great episode coming up with Serina, though.
We do.
We've been in contact with her way up on the mountain.
Yeah.
And her goat.
Goat training for people is a very time-consuming...
accessible goat training.
Hobby? Do we call it a hobby or a lifestyle?
I wouldn't discount her and call it a hobby. You know her and her goat.
Bah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the goat talk has bottomed out.
Well, on that goat.
And just so Serina knows, because I never get the fairy tales right, what was the one where the billy goat was guarding the bridge?
It was the billy goat gruff.
Yeah, which one was that? Billy Goat Gruff?
Not by the hair on my chin. Okay.
But what was he guarding the bridge from?
Crossing it.
Who wanted to cross it? I did not have a childhood, as we've said.
The three goats, there was the size thing, the little goat, the mama goat, and the daddy goat, and it was the troll that was stopping them from crossing the bridge.
The troll was... okay, so the goat wasn't stopping anybody from crossing the bridge. It was the troll. I forgot about the troll. What was the troll's name?
Troll.
Talk about originality. Regular troll that blocking the goats.
Actually, Brian, it was the big bad wolf.
Yeah. Getting up to Serina's mountain. So that's...
something like that. Up there on the mountain.
Story. Yeah. So, okay. Hopefully, Serina will be able to get past the troll and the goats and make it here for the next episode.
I was saying about hockey, I've been looking around the States here at some YouTubes or articles, just doing some searchings for it. It's really interesting how they do play it. So I'm learning a lot about it, and it's not all about Minnesota Wild hockey, Minnesota Wild blind hockey here. It's about the whole nation and the teams, because when they do have a summit, they pool everybody together and then break them up into A, B, C, and D, and they play amongst players that are of the same abilities. And so it's kind of cool how it's unfolding to me. So it's really neat. It's interesting, and it's an activity.
Question for you. How do the service dogs do on skates?
Not so bad. It's just that you got to keep their back paws up near your hips when you're pushing them around. Okay. Like a wheelbarrow. If you know how to run a wheelbarrow or a wagon, flyer wagon, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I have absolutely nothing going on. Well, I guess this will come out probably before the Super Bowl. So I'm not playing in the Super Bowl. I didn't want to mislead people or anything, but Super Bowl is my birthday. So that should be fun. Other than that, just getting work done. And unfortunately, my big news got put on hold. So I still can't publicly talk about it. So getting through that depression, and I've gotten through that. So now I'm coping. You know what? Because that project was canceled or put on hold, Jeff, I think I'm going to probably have to apply for an emotional support animal to go along with my service dog.
No. Could a service dog be an emotional support animal?
I thought we established this earlier, Jeff. All emotional support dogs are not service dogs, but all service dogs can also be an emotional support animal. Didn't we establish that earlier on the show?
When I edit it, I'll figure it out.
Do you listen when I talk or no?
Only when I edit. I really pay attention to you then.
I guess guide dogs, service dogs can wear multiple hats and everything. Although this one, when I try and give him a little hug because I need that emotional support, he does pull away. He does pull away. So I guess I'm lacking that emotion. I would like to get an emotional support bunny. Bunnies seem cute. The bunnies bite, though, don't they?
Silly wabbit. Yeah, I think they do.
Oh.
You might want to check with Hugh Hefner and see how that worked out for him, though.
And I guess on that note, we are out.
Be sure to follow That Blind Tech Show on Twitter at Blind Tech Show, and drop us an email at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. I want to thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the reality of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.